So I've gone ahead and created a new franchise, the Miami Superstars, and on this team right here, you can see a bunch of 0 overall players. Now these 0 overall players are a little bit different than the 0 overalls we've seen in the past. And why is that? All of these 0 overalls have high franchise potential. Even though our team is full of 0 overalls, every player here has high franchise potential. They are all superstars in their own right. And we're going to watch this team over the next handful of years turn into one of the greatest teams in NHL history through all of these 0 overalls becoming superstars in their own right. Now I think this is going to be a very interesting video because players on the top lines are definitely going to be progressing more than guys in the bottom 6. However, we have to remember, all of them are 18 years old right now. All of them have high franchise potential, and they all have the potential to turn into superstars. Now, are they all going to turn into superstars? Well, I guess we're going to find out. We're going to be simulating the next 10 to 15 years with this team right here, and we're going to see what these guys can turn into. Can they all turn into superstars? Are we going to be able to build a super team that can win 1 Stanley Cup, 2 Stanley Cups, maybe even 5 Stanley Cups? Well, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Now, of course, the first thing we have to do is simulate year number 1. Like, these are all 0 overall players. Obviously, they're not going to be doing too much this season. Like, we're going to lose every game. But while we be an absolute disaster here and lose every game, if you haven't already, of course, subscribe to the channel. As you all know, we're trying to hit 92k subs by the end of the year, and the year is coming to an end. We don't have too many days left, so if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Now, of course, it's no surprise that in year number 1, the Miami Superstars are doing absolutely nothing. 0 wins this season, 82 losses. We didn't score a single goal, but none of that should surprise us. Also, we have the 69 overall on the team, apparently. Shout out to Bro, I guess. He was definitely not here for the entire season. The Winnipeg Jets are Stanley Cup champions, but I'm just curious to see what the growth of our players were. Like, we started off with only 0 overalls. I don't know who any of these guys are. I guess they're the AHL team, but we're not interested in any of those guys. We are interested in all of these 42 overalls right here. So we saw a ton of guys progress this season. A handful of guys are now up to a 42 overall. That was some great progression we saw. However, we are still a long ways away from winning a Stanley Cup. Like, we still have a couple 0 overalls on this team. Big Les, Sassy, Icky Tenrio. I'm gonna need you guys to take a big step next season. I guess it also wouldn't hurt if we took a look at our goalies, and Eric Hartman and Ricky Lafleur both up to 50 overalls. We might be in good hands. So it's time for us to go ahead and simulate up to the draft. But you know what? The draft means absolutely nothing because we're not drafting any players today. Nope. No players are gonna be drafted by me. All those high franchise potential players, those are the guys we're building our team around. Those have to be the guys that are here for when we win a Stanley Cup. We're not bringing any more players onto the team. No free agency, no trades, no draft picks. We already have the 20 guys we're going to be rocking with, and those are the 20 guys for the entire video. Now, after just 1 season, look at all the progression we're seeing across the board. We don't have any 0 overalls anymore. We don't have that many 40 overalls anymore. There's only 3 40 overalls when it comes to our forward core. When it comes to the defensive core, we're in a really good spot there. Everyone's at least a 57 overall, and then when it comes to goaltending, 2 56 overall goaltenders. In year number 1, this team was looking terrible, but we gave everyone franchise potential, and we're slowly building something. Now, what exactly are we building? I have no clue, because at the end of the day, we are still the worst team in the entire league by far. It is going to take us a number of years before we can really compete with the best in the NHL. Is that going to be 5 more years? Is it going to be 10 more years? We'll have to wait and see. Also, I have no clue why I was going to stop at the end of the regular season. We are not making the playoffs. So yeah, let's simulate to the end of the postseason. What are we doing here? We're just wasting our time. Alright, so this might have been a game-changing season for us. Yes, we didn't win any games, but we scored 52 goals, and we only allowed 668. And on top of that, we even have some 70 overalls on the team. Detroit Velvet Smooth, 9 goals, 9 assists for 18 points. Arthur Fonzarelli, 5 goals and 12 assists for 17 points. This team is slowly turning into something. We have a couple 70 overalls on the team, even a 71 and a 72 overall. No, we actually might be able to win a game next season. The odds of us winning a game next season, very low. But I think there is a possibility we do so. We were scoring a handful of goals this season. We weren't allowing nearly as many goals. I think we're going to take the next step next season, and we're going to be able to win 1 game. Obviously, we're not going to win the Stanley Cup. Like, we are a number of years away from that. But winning a game, I think that's possible next season. So our young guys are continuing to improve here. We have a first line consisting of all 70 overall players. Our second line has a couple 60 overalls. And you know what? This is actually what we're going to do this season. I want our 60 overalls getting more ice time, so they can develop a little bit more. When it comes to our second line, these guys are 70 overalls. They're going to continue to develop, but we have to make sure that the 60 overalls get a lot of ice time. So maybe we should have our highest overall players actually play the fewest amount of minutes this season. I know that doesn't really make a lot of sense, but it sort of does. We need the low overall guys to get a lot of ice time so they can see some progression. When it comes to DVS, J-Rock, and Tyrone, they've already seen some great progression. Some of these other guys on the team, they need more ice time. When it comes to the defense, we don't really have to worry about that. I guess we sort of do though. Blue Oak is only a 62 overall, so yeah, we got to get him up to a 70 overall at least. And then when it comes to our goaltending, that's the one thing I'm not really that worried about. We currently have 271 overalls right now. Everyone on the team is 20 years old, so they still have a handful of years of development in front of them. However, if we do ever have dreams of winning a Stanley Cup, I'm going to need to see some crazy progression out of these guys over the next couple years. I refuse to believe this happened. Nope, this did not happen. In what universe are we shutting out the St. Louis Blues? In our first victory, we are shutting out the St. Louis Blues. This game just loves to mock me. They love to laugh in my face. We are 1-5 this season. We finally won our first ever game where we shut out the St. Louis Blues. First of all, I want to know who our starting goaltender was. Who won this game? Eric Hartman. He made 23 saves on 23 shots. And then when it comes to our scoring, DVS is picking up a goal. Sassy's picking up a goal. Jacob Collins is picking up a goal. But why did we have to shut out the St. Louis Blues of all teams? Why did it have to be St. Louis? It could have been any other team in the league and I would have been fine with that. But nope, our first win had to come against the St. Louis Blues. This shouldn't surprise me. Like, yes, this is a good thing for the Miami Superstars. They have finally seen a little bit of success. They're finally winning games. But why did that first win have to be against the St. Louis Blues? And why did we have to shut them out? Like, out of all teams, why was it the St. Louis Blues? Now, after taking down the St. Louis Blues, the Miami Superstars would win a couple more games this season. They're finishing with a 377-2 record, scoring 1.54 goals per game, allowing 4.89. Obviously, the offense isn't great here, neither is the defense, but we are taking steps in the right direction. DVS is going to lead the way with 33 points, Tyrone 28, Arthur Fonzarelli 28. I'm kind of curious to see if we have any 80 overall players, and it looks like we do. Fonzarelli's up to an 81 overall, Metabe's a 75, Icky Tenrio only a 68. I need more from him. We can't have any 60 overalls in the team moving forward. We need a handful of 80 overalls, and it looks like we have at least two. When it comes to our goaltenders, Eric Hartman is 72 overall, Ricky Lafleur is a 73 overall. I'm expecting over the off season we're going to see a handful of guys improve to an 80 overall, and then once we get that, I think we could be looking at 10 wins next season. But there is one thing we have to do before we move into next season. I have to give everyone extensions. I've gone ahead and turned the salary cap off just so I can make sure we can re-sign all these guys. Because I was a little bit nervous that we might get to a point where somebody's asking for like $18 million. Like Arthur Fonzarelli, he wants $7.4 million. Like in the event that all of our players want $7.4 million, we would have no money left. But I think he's really going to be the only guy looking for a big bag. So I guess we shouldn't worry too much. Now I'm going to keep it a stack with you. I'm starting to get slightly concerned with this team. Like there's a handful of guys who haven't taken the next step. Sassy's still a 69 overall. When it comes to the defense, Blue Oak is still a 68 overall. I don't know how that's the case considering I'm giving them a lot of opportunities. But when it comes to goaltending, we have two 76s. That's the lone thing that we're set in. I mean, 76 overall goaltenders aren't the greatest in the world, but at least regardless of who we have starting, we're going to give ourselves a chance to win. Now, we're not going to win many games this season, but we are definitely going to be able to steal a couple away. The big thing heading into this season is Sassy and Blue Oak. I need to see some crazy progression from both of you guys. Like in the future, we can't have 60 overalls and compete for Stanley Cups. At the very minimum, we can only have 75 overalls. 75 overalls are the lowest overalls we can have on this team if we really want to compete for a Stanley Cup. So with that being said, I need to see progression from this entire team, but those two guys specifically. Now, I'm happy to say the Miami Superstars have taken the next step this season. A 22-51-9 record. We were 17 points back of the New York Islanders, and I just want to point out, everyone has franchise potential on our team, so the Islanders might think they're in a better spot than us. Nah, we're going to see crazy progression from our guys. J-Rock, 54 points this season, Metabe, 48, Tyrone, 45, Arthur Fonzarelli, 39, and on top of that, we have a handful of guys at an 80 overall now. Even a guy like Sassy the Sasquatch is up to a 72 overall. That's kind of what I need from him. I need him to at least become a 75 overall at the bare minimum, and of course, I need the exact same with Blue Oak. And then when it comes to goaltending, Eric Cartman, 12 wins. He even had 2 shutouts this season. Ricky Lafleur, 10 wins. We're their overalls. We have a 78 overall in Eric Cartman, a 78 overall in Ricky Lafleur. I think we're just a couple more seasons away from finally making the playoffs. I think we are very, very close to making the playoffs. Give us 2 more seasons of development, and then we're going to be a fringe wildcard team. And then after that, we're taking over the NHL. I also just want to point out we have dropped from 1 to 3 in every draft so far. We haven't got the first overall pick. 4 straight seasons of us dropping from 1 to 3. You can't make that up. We've just about reached the point where our entire forward core is all 80 overall players. We only have 4 players below an 80 when it comes to our offensive core. When it comes to our defensive core, only 1 player is below an 80. And then when it comes to goaltending, both guys are going to be above an 80 overall this season. So we're certainly going to be seeing more success than we did last season. I don't think we're quite a playoff team yet, but we are very close to becoming one. Now, the Miami Superstars decided to live up to their team name. They played like superstars this season. Yes, they didn't make the playoffs. However, they scored 2.78 goals per game and allowed 2.76. So they were actually very elite defensively. They were one of the best defensive teams in the entire league. We were tied for the 4th best defense. Why on earth did we have the 4th best defense? I have no clue. But this team was just locking down everybody. J-Rock, 55 points. DVS, 53 points. Tyrone, 52. But when it comes to our goaltending, Ricky Lafleur, you were the guy this season. 29 wins, 5 shots, a 917 to 266. You're up to an 86 overall. Eric Cartman, you're an 82 overall. So we have our clear goaltender for the future. And why am I not surprised that it's Ricky Lafleur? So considering the overalls of a lot of these players, they were actually playing like superstars this season. But we know what this team's overalls looked like at the beginning of the season. What do they look like now? Well, J-Rock's up to an 87. DVS an 86. Tyrone an 88. Arthur Fonzarelli is a 91 overall. This team is ready to take over the NHL. They're ready to compete with the best teams. The Chicago Blackhawks are Stanley Cup champions, but next season, Miami's going to be making a push for the cup. Now, last season, I was incredibly impressed with our Miami Superstars team. We were just a few points outside the postseason, and with this entire team getting better, I think we should make the playoffs this season, especially with our defense looking like this. Like, we have by far the best defense in the entire league. As long as our forwards continue to develop and Ricky Lafleur continues to turn into a superstar, nobody's going to be able to stop us in a couple seasons. So until then, let's just keep on simulating, and hopefully we can see some postseason action this season. Now, what can I say? I never would have expected this in a million years. The Miami Superstars, a 57, 18, and 7 record, 3.82 goals per game, 2.48 allowed. We're here. We are the best offensive team, the best defensive team, and the best team in the NHL. I don't know how this has happened. I don't know how this team just completely woke up, but here we are. Trevor Corey, who is a grinder, by the way, has 48 goals and 66 points. No, we've really turned into one of the greatest teams in NHL history. Okay, maybe I shouldn't say we're one of the greatest teams in NHL history. That is a massive stretch. However, we're one of the best teams in the league right now, and we're ready to win a Stanley Cup in our first postseason appearance. We have the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round. Let's make a statement. No, like I would have never expected Miami to be making the playoffs this early in the video, but on top of that, the best team in the entire league. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. This team is known for their offense and their defense, and so far their defense has definitely been showing out. We've been basically shutting down the Tampa Bay Lightning the entire postseason so far until this game right here. We're allowing 5 goals, but that's perfectly fine. We still have a 3-1 series lead. We need to win one more game, and that's exactly what we're doing. So we're moving on to the second round. We're 1-0 so far in the postseason. We have never lost a series. We're moving on to our next matchup, which is going to be the Toronto Maple Leafs. I can't imagine the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to find a way to beat us, but you know what? They've won 2 games so far, but I think that's all they're going to be winning. We split the series with them. Game number 5 is going to be the most important game. We're going to find a way to win that one, and now we're going to win game 6 and move on to the conference finals. So things are looking amazing for the Superstars right now. We're taking on the New York Rangers in the next round. Can we find a way to make it to the Stanley Cup final in our first postseason appearance? Well, all we have to do is win one more game. One more victory sends us to the Stanley Cup final, and we're here. We have made it to the Stanley Cup final. We're ready to take on the Chicago Blackhawks. I believe they're the reigning Stanley Cup champions, so we better be prepared. So it's all coming down to these 7 games right here. A best of 7 between the Superstars and the Chicago Blackhawks. We're winning game number 1. We're winning game 3 and game 4. Who cares if we drop game number 2? Because all we have to do is win one more game, and we're going to shut them out. The Miami Superstars in 2031 are Stanley Cup champions. This happened way quicker than expected. Like in our first postseason appearance, we found a way to become Stanley Cup champions. DVS 21 points, Tyrone 21 points, J-Rock 19, Metabee 18. We had great offense and amazing goal scoring throughout the the entire lineup. And then when it comes to our goaltending, of course, Ricky Lafleur is going to be the superstar we need. 16 wins, 3 shutouts, a 926 and a 202. The Miami superstars are really turning into superstars, but there's one thing we have to remember. Every player on this team right now is 24 years old, so they're all going to keep on getting better. So that means moving into next season, every aspect of this team should be better, and we should be able to repeat. After winning a Stanley Cup, we're continuing to see incredible growth from our players, except for our centermen. Icky Tenrio, Jacob Collins, and Big Les. I haven't really seen you guys do anything incredible so far. And then Sassy, you're an 82 overall. I don't know what it is about these 4 players, but for some reason, they just didn't develop. And then when it comes to our defense, everyone's a superstar, except for Blue Oak. He did not develop whatsoever. So I don't know why those 5 players just didn't turn into stars for us, but literally everyone else on this team did turn into stars. We have 290 overall goaltenders. I don't know what it is about those 5 guys, but those 5 players just didn't seem to develop for me whatsoever. I mean, Big Les is an 85 overall, so it's not like he's the worst player in the world, but a majority of our wingers developed. One of our centermen developed. That's just very interesting right there. I don't know why we just had 5 players not develop whatsoever. Granted, I guess we do have to remember they did start as 0 overalls, so they did develop quite a bit. Just not quite as much as everyone else on this team. With all that yapping out of the way, obviously there's one goal for this season, and that's repeating. Now the Miami Superstars just keep getting better season after season. Now we have a 65-14-3 record, 4.21 goals per game, 2.22 allowed. We are the best offensive by a mile and the best defensive by a mile. DVS is going to lead the way with 96 points, including 58 goals. Then we have Tyrone with 88 points and 43 goals, and then J-Rock 85 points with 64 assists. This first line was dominating this season. And then of course, look at everyone else. They were producing as they should be. They were all playing their roles on this team. And then Ricky Lafleur, another historic season, 39 wins, 3 shutouts, a 915 to 212. Meanwhile, Eric Hartman, you weren't too bad either. They're basically just splitting starts this season, but clearly Ricky Lafleur is the #1 heading into the postseason. We're looking to repeat after the success we saw last season, and I fully believe we're going to be able to do it again. So let's just keep things incredibly simple here. Just take it one game at a time, and as long as we do that, we're going to be Stanley Cup champs. A shutout in game #1 is perfect, and 6 goals in back-to-back games is even better. We allowed 4 goals in this series. Yeah, Ricky Lafleur's putting on a masterclass. Not only was our offense basically perfect, so was our defense. 4 goals allowed over the course of 4 games, and 2 shutouts on top of that. No, nobody's going to stop us. Another shutout in the second round. Yeah, we're sweeping the postseason. We're 8-0 so far in the postseason. I don't know if anyone's going to be able to stop us. Columbus, you're up next. We're winning game #1. That is 9 straight victories. We have now made that 12 straight victories. Another shutout. We haven't lost a game so far in the postseason, and now we have the Winnipeg Jets. So far, the Miami Superstars have been nothing but perfection. They have won every game so far, but they're finally going to be losing a game. They're losing game 2 in the Cup final. That's perfectly fine. We have a 3-1 series lead, and we're going to close it out in game #5. 16-1 in the playoffs, basically perfection. Nah, 16-1 is crazy work. We were able to win 13 straight games, and DVS, he was one of the reasons we won 13 straight. 14 goals, 20 assists for 34 points. Tyrone, 16 goals, 10 assists for 26 points. J-Rock had 21 points. Arthur Fonzarelli, he's picking up 20 points. We had 4-point-a-game guys, and then when it comes to goaltending, Ricky Lafleur, you proved you're the greatest goalie of all time. A 16-1 record, 4 shutouts, a 934 and a 170. I can't ask for better numbers than this, but you know what? Maybe I do want better numbers, because our team's going to be even better next season. The players on this team right now are only 25 years old. Some of these guys haven't even reached their prime yet, and once they do, I don't think anyone's going to be able to stop us. Also, when it comes to how many years we're going to simulate, I think what we're going to do is we're going to simulate up until everyone is 30 years old. I want to see these guys reach their primes. I want to see what they're like in their prime, and I think stopping at 30 years old is the perfect time to stop. If not, I'm just going to be simulating season after season where we're winning Stanley Cup season after season, and honestly, it would get a little bit repetitive. But over the next 5 years, before these guys reach their prime, I'm curious to see how many more Stanley Cups we can win. So we've now been able to win back-to-back Stanley Cups, and I think we're going to three-peat this season, because last season, I was talking about how these 4 guys right here hadn't really developed. Well, now we have an 87 overall, 2 86s, and an 85. Safe to say they're developing, just not quite as fast as everyone else on the team. Meanwhile, when it comes to the defense, Blue Oaks up to an 85 overall. This team is just not going to be able to be stopped. There is too many elite players on this team. Ricky Lafleur, you're the greatest goaltender of all time. There is no other goaltender that can really compete with you. But while I have you in your prime here, how about you win 5 more Stanley Cups and we finish this video off with a 7-peat? Something that's definitely not too unrealistic. Alright, so after a season like this, it really makes you wonder, is 82-0 possible with the Miami Superstars? A 72-6-4 record. We were scoring 5.33 goals per game and only allowing 2.05. So we're likely going to sweep the entire postseason. But is 82-0 possible with this team? Because we were absolutely dominating. We have a lot of high 90 overall players on this team. I think it might be possible. 82-0 might actually be possible with this team right here because we are absolutely dominating. Nobody can even compete with us. It's going to be a very quick postseason. We're taking on Tampa Bay in the first round. I can't imagine anyone putting up a fight against us. Like, this is also very different than a lot of teams we've seen in the past. Because yes, we have the best offense and yes, we have the best defense. But we have the best offense by a very wide margin. And we have the best defense by a very wide margin. So it's not like we have the best offense by scoring 3 more goals during the regular season. We were probably scoring 3 more goals per game. We're sweeping the Tampa Bay Lightning, including a game where we scored 10 goals. We're moving on to the second round to take on the Montreal Canadiens. Can Montreal take any games away from us? It looks like they're going to be able to take one. We are 7-1 in the postseason. We're moving into game number 5 and we'll close it out. So I guess the dream of 16-0 is not going to be happening. We're 8-1 so far in the postseason, and I don't think we're going to stop anytime soon. So how about we sweep the Florida Panthers and then sweep whoever we see in the Stanley Cup final? Yeah, this is an absolute breeze for us. Like, I just want y'all to remember, we started with all 0 overall players with franchise potential, and now we've won 72 games. So if we could start with a 0 overall team and then go 82-0, nah, we might actually be the greatest team of all time. Even though we all started as 0 overall players, this is something historic right now. We're moving into game number 5. We'll close it out. 16-2 in the postseason. That was some light work for us. No, but that's actually crazy work. We started as 0 overalls, won 72 games, then went 16-2 in the postseason. Of course, it shouldn't be much of a surprise. Absolutely everyone dominated here. We were scoring goals like crazy. We were keeping the puck out of our net as well, but not quite as good as last season. Like a 9-11 and a 234. For Ricky Lafleur, these are some terrible numbers. But we've been able to complete the 3-peat. We have a handful more years left, 4 to be exact. Of course, we have to finish this off with a 7-peat. Now, when this video began, we had one main goal, win a couple Stanley Cups. That goal has now changed now that we've won 3 straight Stanley Cups, 82-0. That is the goal with this team moving forward. I want to see if it's possible for us to have an 82-0 season. From top to bottom, the team is looking elite. We're almost full of only 90 overalls. There's only a few players on this team who aren't 90 overalls. So unfortunately, when it comes to going 82-0, I think those guys might hold us back. However, just look at our defense. It's basically 95 overalls and above, except for 1 player. So even though we have a couple guys that aren't 90 overalls, we still might be able to go 82-0. Now, I think last season got me a little bit too gassed up. This season, a 67-14-1 record. Let's be honest, I think 82-0 is a little bit too unrealistic. Like, yes, we have an incredible team, but not losing a single game the entire season when we don't even have all 90 overalls on the team. Yeah, I'm getting way too hyped up with this team. Ricky Lafleur did have 13 shutouts though, so there is that, and he did have a goals against below 2. So even if we can't go 82-0, how about we just go 16-0 in the postseason? We have the New Jersey Devils up first. Let's be honest, we're winning Stanley Cups for the rest of this video. No one's taking us down. So let's go ahead and go 16-0, win another Stanley Cup, making it our 4th in a row. Ricky Lafleur is already picking up a shutout. He's already picking up 2 shutouts. Yeah, 16-0 might be very possible with the way Ricky's playing. Like, bro really decided, I'm just not going to allow goals this postseason. 2 shutouts in the first round is amazing. Can he pick up another couple shutouts in the second round? So far, he hasn't, but I guess he will in game number 3. Through the first 2 games, he hadn't picked up a shutout, but of course, it's Ricky Lafleur, so it's only a matter of time before he picks up another one. He did so in game 3, and we're moving on to the conference finals 8-0. Almost 50% of our wins have come from a Ricky Lafleur shutout. That is just how dominant this man has been. Nobody is quite as good as Ricky Lafleur, but we're finally losing a game. We're losing game number 2 in the conference finals to the Washington Capitals. We're taking them down 5 games though, and moving on to the Cup final. So we already know what's going to happen in the Stanley Cup final. We're going to take down the Nashville Predators, and we're going to win our 4th straight Stanley Cup. But can we take them down to sweep? That's the real question. Okay, hold on. Just wait a minute. We lost back-to-back games. Game number 5 is going to be a very important game moving forward. We can't drop that one. Luckily, we're not going to be doing so. So we're going to close zone game 6. Do not go to game 7. Okay, I was talking about this team sweep in the postseason and how no team could really compete with us. We are in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final. It is still possible we lose this. We're exchanging goals in the first period. Moving into the second, we're going to be taking a 3-2 lead, but it is not guaranteed that we win this game right here. But luckily, Rigby's going to be picking up an insurance goal in the third period. We're taking down the Nashville Predators, but that was way closer than it should have been. Like, I thought we were going to breeze through the postseason, but we needed Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Final, and we only won by 2. Nashville might be putting on some more pressure in the future. We're going to have to watch out for that team. But at the end of the day, they still couldn't beat us. 4 straight Stanley Cups, another Stanley Cup for the Miami Superstars. We just can't be stopped right now. Big Les, 16 assists for 16 points, 0 goals, but he's not here to score goals. He's there to pick up assists. Meanwhile, Ricky Lafleur, a 16-2 record. Eric Cartman actually lost 2 of the games for us. He had 2 OT losses. It's kind of interesting. But you know what? We're not going to worry about it. Ricky Lafleur, a 16-2 record, 3 shots, a 9-10 to 2-12. He's a 4-time Stanley Cup champion, all 4 cups coming in the past 4 years. But with us having 3 more years left in the rebuild, that could only mean one thing: 3 more Stanley Cups. Now, the Miami Superstars might not be as invincible as I thought. Like, we just went to Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Final. I was thinking we were going to breeze past everybody. Apparently, that's not the case. There are teams out there that can compete with us. I'm a little bit shocked at that, considering how many 90 overall players we have on the team. Because, like, just look at this team. We have 4 players who aren't a 90 overall when it comes to the forward core. We have 1 player who's not a 90 overall on the defensive core. And then when it comes to goaltending, both of our goalies are 90 overalls. So out of the 20 players on this roster right now, 15 of the 20 are 90 overalls and above. Only 5 players are below a 90. So yeah, Nashville, I gotta give you a lot of credit. The fact that you forced Game 7 against us is basically a Stanley Cup for you guys. Unfortunately though, that's the closest you're gonna be getting to a Stanley Cup, because we're sweeping moving forward. Now, last season, I had given up on the 82-0 dream. I just didn't think it would be possible. We won 78 games this season. 82-0 is still very possible. 5.44 goals per game, 1.88 allowed. The dream of 82-0 is back on again. However, we really don't have too much time left. We only have 2 more seasons to go 82-0. The team is looking incredible once again. We're probably going to win a Stanley Cup. I can guarantee you we're winning a Stanley Cup, because there is just no way a 78-win team loses 4 games in a 7-game series. Like, we only lost 4 games all season. You're telling me in a 7-game series we're going to lose 4 games? That's just not happening. It's a sweep over the Rangers and we're moving on. Now, what can I say about the Miami Superstars? They have exceeded expectations so much. Like, I really didn't expect this team to be this dominant. Like, I know I gave everyone high franchise potential, but we have to remember, they were all playing alongside each other. At one point, they were all 0 overalls, so I really didn't know what to expect. Like, if I put a 0 overall alongside a bunch of actual NHL players, by default, they should see some progression, because they're actually playing with good players, meaning they should pick up stats from time to time, and they should just be in a better position all around. These 0 overalls, on the other hand, were playing alongside other 0 overalls. Like, we had an entire team of 0 overalls at one point, but somehow, even with all of these guys playing alongside complete garbage, they found a way to develop. We went 16-1 the postseason. The only game we lost was this one in overtime. We're Stanley Cup champions once again, but this team has exceeded expectations by a ton. Like, I know I'm basically just saying the same thing over and over and over again, but we have to remember, they were all 0 overall players. So we basically just had a team of pee-wee hockey players playing in the NHL. They were getting dominated. Some of them couldn't even skate. Most of them actually couldn't skate in year number 1. Now, you would think with these pee-wee hockey players playing alongside each other, there wouldn't really be too much for them to learn. Like, what are the pee-wee hockey players going to learn from each other? However, if you put a pee-wee hockey player alongside Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, I bet he would pick up a thing from time to time. Just because he is playing alongside those 2 incredible players right there, he would probably learn something. But you know who that pee-wee hockey player definitely isn't learning from? Jimmy and Timmy, his 2 0 overall line mates. But with that rant out of the way, 2 more seasons left, 2 more years to go 82-0. Let's see if it's possible. Now, the goal for this season isn't even to win a Stanley Cup, because we're already guaranteed the Stanley Cup. It's 82-0. 82-0 overall is what we're going for the next 2 seasons. We know for a fact the Stanley Cup finals are going to be a breeze. We're definitely going to sweep through the entire postseason. But can we go 82-0? That's the real goal. Now the Miami Superstars continue to dominate, a 76-1-5 record. Unfortunately, that still isn't 82-0. We allowed 1.8 goals per game. Yeah, let's just head right to the postseason. And you know what? We're not going round by round. I'm just simulating the entire postseason. We already know what the result's going to be. We're taking on the Islanders in the first round, but this is going to be a breeze. Like, I don't know why I'm still going round by round. Like, it really doesn't make any sense. We don't lose. Simple as that. We do not lose in the postseason. We are just going to win another Stanley Cup here, and then next season we're going to complete the seven-peat. We're just going to keep it that simple. We're taking down the Islanders. We averaged over 7 goals per game. That is wild. No, like, did y'all see that? 7 goals, 7 goals, 8 goals, 8 goals. That is the greatest offense you have ever seen. Why are we losing games to the Buffalo Sabres? Out of all teams, we shouldn't be losing to the Buffalo Sabres. So we're moving on to the conference finals. We've lost 1 game so far. We're 8-1, and we're looking to finish this 16-1. I don't want to lose any more games in the postseason, and I don't think we have to worry about it. We've made it to the Stanley Cup final. Now it's time to sweep the Sharks. The Miami Superstars have truly turned into a bunch of superstars. We dropped game number 1. We got shut out. Why did we get shut out in game number 1? I don't care if we just won the Stanley Cup. Why did we just get shut out in game number 1? Nah, like this right here, that's crazy work. I do want to point out, after that game, we only allowed 4 goals in the next 4 games, including shutting them out twice. But even still, that's crazy work. So that's 6 straight Stanley Cups right there. 1 more Stanley Cup. We're going for the seven-peat next season. 1 year left. The offense was on a different level this postseason. Like, y'all saw how many goals we scored in round number 1. That was indicative of the rest of this postseason. Like, we were going to blow out absolutely everybody. Ricky Lafleur, a 917-189. You have 1 more season to go 82-0. 1 more season to win another Stanley Cup. Next season's the final year to do it. Now, at the beginning of the season, all of our players are 29 right now, but they'll be 30 by the end of the year. And I just want to go through a couple of our players to point out some of the potentials, like J-Rock, who only has elite potential, Icky Tenrio, who has elite potential. When it comes to our next centerman, Jacob Collins, elite potential. So basically, almost all of our centermen only have elite potential. And then Sassy, he has some of the lowest potential on the team, exact top 6. What has happened to you? So basically, when it comes to our top 9, everyone on the wings has franchise potential. All of our centermen, elite potential. Now, when it comes to the defense, it's franchise potential across the board, except for Blue Oak. He has exact top 4 potential. Now, bro is a complete fraud when looking at everyone else. And then when it comes to our 2 goaltenders, Eric Hartman, elite potential, but Ricky Lafleur, he has that franchise potential. He's an elite goaltender. He's a franchise goalie, and he has proved that with the team so far. Just look at this man's trophy case. 6 Stanley Cups, 4 Vezinas, 6 William Jennings. He's the GOAT, what can I say? But there's still one thing he hasn't done. Well, there's actually 2 things he hasn't done. One, he hasn't gone 82-0, but he also hasn't gone 16-0 in the postseason. So hopefully that changes right now. Now, in our final season, I have some disappointing news. It was impossible for us to go 82-0. A 77-3-2 record, we just couldn't do it. We couldn't find that 82-0 season. It was just impossible for us to achieve. But you know what? That shouldn't really be too surprising. Like, we do have to remember, there's a handful of 80 overalls on this team. Like, we aren't a team built of solely 99 overall players. If we were a team of 99 overall players, I would expect us to go 82-0. But that's not the case. We started with a team of 0 overall players, basically pee-wee hockey players. I gave them all high franchise potential, basically Wayne Gretzky potential. And here we are, on the verge of a 7-peat. So we're on the verge of a 7-peat, so there's only one more thing we can do. Simulate the entire postseason, 16-0, and cap this video off. I know I've said about 1,000,000 times so far, but I am still stunned at how good this team actually was. Like, we started with 0 overall players. I am pretty sure I've done videos in the past where I give a 0 overall player high franchise potential, and they don't really live up to the hype. They don't turn into that franchise star that we were hoping for. But that certainly happened today, and not only did it happen with one player, it happened to an entire team. So we are 8 games away from perfection, 16-0 in the playoffs. Can we do it? Can we win a couple more games? It doesn't look like it. We're finally losing a game. After winning 10 games in a row, we're finally losing one, but that's perfectly fine. We're 12-1 heading into the Stanley Cup final. We'll finish it off 16-1. I want one more 16-1 postseason run, and it looks like we're getting that. The Miami Superstars Stanley Cup champions once again. Like, considering how this team started, where they were at the beginning of the video, I would have never expected 7 straight Stanley Cups. Like, I just want to point out, we have never lost a postseason series. This team has never lost a postseason series. Every series they've played in, they have found a way to win. 16-1 from Ricky Lafleur, 5 shots, a 933 and a 147. The greatest performance we have ever seen. Ricky Lafleur, you just had one of the greatest careers of all time. 7 Stanley Cup, 4 Vezina, 7 William Jennings. I cannot ask more from you. But you know what? I can't ask more from a lot of these guys. Every player in their own right stepped up. They allowed us to win 7 straight Stanley Cups. Over the past 7 years, we saw postseason perfection by never losing a series. I didn't think that would be possible, but here we are.